Hello. Good afternoon. So today I'm going to try to make a video about how you can deploy your application, the application to Heroku, and because I've seen this like being a challenge to most of us, so thought it is better to make one video that you guys can go through and then you don't like find it hard when you work on your project. So I've already made a project. It is just a simple basic node project that you can look at, and then I believe most of the things now you know because we've been in the same class and then we've been doing this for quite some time. Yeah, I just hope it is recording. Okay, it's recording. So the application is very simple. I just have a basic node application with the index file, which I have dependencies, Express, Mongoose, and then a .env that helps me like to like store my environment variables, and I start my application. So I use the app variable to instantiate the Express, and also I use Mongoose to connect. And then one thing I did a bit different is since like this connection to Mongoose to like the database returns a promise. So I attached the dot then and I say once. So I'm trying to say once there is a connection, uh, I try to first of all console log that connected successfully, and also that's when like I spin my application on this port number that I've provided. So why I store the port number in a process.env like environment is because when we're working with a local, we can't depend on the port number we specify when we're working on our local machine. And also if there is any error, suppose there is a connection error, so I try to console log this, which is not actually appropriate when it comes to when you deploy and it is out there, then it is not required this. There is a way you can go about this, but this was for me to test and also for you guys to help you out. Later in the day, I will just upload this code to GitHub. Those who wish to try it out, we do. But then this is the main file. So the dependencies are little that I have. I have Mongoose, I have Express, and then I have the .env that helps me like to store my environment variables, and this is my package.json file. So I have the model because I'm trying to use the MVC, but here I don't have the V because I don't have the view. So this is like some simple API application where you can access it anywhere. So inside the model, I have this post.js, and it's just as simple like I'm trying to look at a post. So what I do here, I just require I just extract the model and the schema. I actually destructure them from from Mongoose, and then I use that schema. So I'm taking in a title which is required, and also I'm taking in a description of the article, which I'm setting the default to this. Suppose someone doesn't supply it, and also I'm capturing the date. Uh, so I'm setting it to a type of a date, and I export this model. Then in the routes, I have posts as one route file that I'm using, and also here I'm just calling in Express to obtain this router that I'm going to use, and also importing in the model that I have in the models there. And the first, sorry, just maybe a little commenting to see what it does. But here, what basically it does is it is a GET request that actually returns all posts, if you can look at it. So it returns all posts, and what happens is I'm using like the async await because it takes time to query the database, so it might delay. That's why I have to come back, to fall back whenever like my data is being returned, and then I execute this. So I go to the database and then collect all the documents in the collection, and then I return them using the rest.json. So I send you these posts. We are going to see how it works, and if there is any error, instead of like throwing the error that would crash my application, so what I'm doing is like simply I just send you that error. So in other words, I'm trying to prevent my application from crashing if at all you are trying to use it, because when I console log the error, of course it will log the error to the console and it will end up crashing as well. And so I also have a post where I'm creating posts. Okay, so I would say maybe adds a post to the DB, maybe like that. So here I just add the post. I expect to get a post, and then I create an instance of the model that I have there. So I set the title to the title that has been sent in, and also the description to the description that has been sent in, and also actually this is supposed to be something like created that, because that's something we have in the model. So this would bring it has to be, I think it has to be created at, sorry about that, just to go and confirm. Yeah, it is supposed to be created at. So here we set the created at to the date.now at the moment where we are saving the post, and then we try to save to the database on this instance. So we are saving this instance to the database. We have to wait for that activity, because you know it is we are saving to the database that is located at different locations, so we might find some issues with that. And then once that is done, so we return a response that is 200 to indicate that it is successful, together with a post that has been saved. So you can do it in any way that you want, but here for me I wanted like to confirm that something has been saved, so it is returned back to me. And if there is any error, I will just send that error back to the client, and then say like fail to save to the database, error.message. I try to send that error message, but you just know it is not advisable as well. You can send any other message so that someone doesn't get to know what really is happening, what could be the issue, but you just indicate someone that unable maybe to save to the database or unable to do this, and then you don't give like some detailed information that someone might use to infiltrate your application. And the last one, actually for it, it is a get request, but then for it returns a single, like a single post, because it looks at the ID. So we pass a params of the ID, and then we find by ID using that particular ID, and then we are able like to bring back that post with that ID. So basically that's what is in my route. And yeah, I export the route at the end. I hope you get the idea here. And okay, so the other thing that I did, because I'm using the .env, I created the .env file in the root folder, and within the .env, I have two variables that I'm working with in this environment. So first, the first one is a post, which is listening at 3000, and then the connection string to my MongoDB Atlas account. So we are going to see how you guys can be able to generate your own. Here, I'm kind of supplying the password to you guys. I hope you won't use this, but I will also like put it down as soon as this recording is out. So we are going to see how you guys can generate your own stream to connect to your Atlas account. So basically that's what we have here. And also you need to note that it is not even advisable. You are not supposed like to supply your variables, your environment variables to anyone, because they are the core of your application. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to start my application, and then we are going to test it. Okay, so here I'm going to do, just note that the current application that I'm working on is directly connected to my Atlas account. So whatever I'm doing will be saved there. And just know, because I had to prepare this, I already sent in some data. So I'm going to just do node mod. And remember what I told you with my index file, that it won't show me that it is listening on this port before it connects to the database, because this app.listen is within the .then. So it has to first connect to the database, and then it will tell me that it is listening on the particular port that has been supplied. Also, something to note, this is how I require my environment variables from within the application, and then I'm able to use the process.env.connection string, the one you've seen in the .env, and also I'm able to use the process.env.port, the one you've seen in the .env file. So now you see our application now has been connected. This is directly connected to my Atlas account. So I have an extension here, the simple REST client that I use. I have challenges with Postman, so I'm going to run this, and it is the one I'm going to use, and we are going to work with this to test our application. So I'm saying I'm doing a new request here, and when you try to look at my APIs as it is loading, when you try to look at my APIs here, like my endpoints, I have one which is from the index file. You see I'm supplying a slash basically, so whenever someone hits the localhost 3000, it will automatically provide the first endpoint, so it will return all the data here. So I'm going to now try to access this application of mine. So maybe I can just give it a name, like maybe a post, just for the application, post app, like that. So I'm going to supply the connection string, because now it is running on the local machine. So it is localhost full colon to supply the port. And then remember I told you that it is running on the base route, like the default route with a slash. So I just supply this. The method is a get. As you can see from here, I don't need to supply the header because this is a get request. And then I'll just make a send. So I already have some data there. So you will be able to see that data being returned. And I have like 4 documents. That is 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm going to also add one here, or 2, that you guys can as well note. So I will change this to a post request, and then in the header, when I'm doing a post, I have to supply content. Okay, content dash type, then full colon, and I say application slash JSON, to indicate that I'm sending a JSON to my to using this endpoint. So it gets to know. So when I come here, I open an object literal, and then remember from our model that we created, where is the model? Okay, from the model we created, we are taking in a title, a description, and the created data is not a must, because automatically it will capture what the current date that we have. So maybe let me just copy this from here, and then I copy the description as well. So we are going to work with this. I come back here, I try to paste them here, and then remember, since this is a JSON, so you have to enclose them in a double quotes. And remember the title is let me just call it so that you guys can differentiate test with a team. And okay, so I require a comma here, and then I go to the description. I say maybe first official body, like that. So I think everything now is set. So when there is an error, we shall just see the error from here. So but I'm going to try to send this, and I'm going to post it. So I'm going to do a send now. So I'm trying to send it, and as you can see here, it is first official, okay, it is officially body, whatever, and then test with the team. That is one post that I've made. So when I try to do a get request now, you see that that data is getting returned to me. When I do a get request now, you see that that data is getting returned, and as we try to scroll, you see that data appearing here. So this is the new data that has been just created, and I think we can add one more, and then we try. So we are testing. This is like the second endpoint that we are testing. The first one was tested. Maybe we shall test one, the one that returns a single document. Maybe this one we shall say. So the bootcamp team test, like that, and we say okay. We shall just call it like bootcamp or 5. Then remember, this is a post request, so we have to supply the header. The header is already there. It says a JSON, so we try to send that. So okay, it has been sent, and then when I try to do a get to see that I see all this data, then you find that it has also been added. When I scroll down to the top, to the last one, you see bootcamp test. Okay, the title is bootcamp 005, and then bootcamp test, team test. So that is also successful. So I'm going to try to return only one. So I'm going to capture this ID and then go to my URL. Since this is a get request, but I have to supply the ID in order to get only that particular. So I'm going to send that, and you see that I get only this. Okay. I think that's it with the testing. We've seen everything is working. So I'm going to switch the windows, and we are going to go to the Atlas, and we see how best we can create our own account, also a DB in the cloud, and we are able to connect our database. Okay. So now I'm switching to my browser. So as you can see, I'm accessing MongoDB and I'm trying to log in. So I'm going to type in my email here. You guys can do the same there. If you don't have an account, you can create. You can, if you have an existing account with MLab, you can work with MLab. But what I found out is MLab stopped accepting new accounts some time back. So they want all new users to come to MongoDB. Only those that are existing are allowed to log in. So I'm trying to log in, and it might take a few minutes. So I'm going to log in, and we are going to create a new project. Within the project, we shall create a cluster, and then we shall proceed and see how best we can. Yep. Okay. So as you can see, I already have like a particular organization that I'm working with. So I'll come and click on the organization here, this one, and then it will load. So let us give it a few minutes to load. So just note, we are doing this because we are working with MongoDB, and it is a bit different when I'm working with SQL, that you can just add a add-on in Heroku. So here I already have these particular projects here, but then I'm going to create one special one for you guys to see how it goes. So I go to the new project, I click on the new project, and then from here it is telling me to create a new project. So I will say like bootcamp node. Okay, this is too long. So I say okay, bootcamp node, like that, and then I will click on next. So it will go to next, and then it will be you'll be asked to add like members or set permissions. It's okay, you can leave that because you are the one only who will be interacting with this. You can research more if like you need to add more people to be able to access this particular project and class that I'm going to create, but then I'll just proceed and say create project, and then it is going to take some little time, and then okay, here we are. So when you create a project, you have to build a cluster. So so I go ahead and say build a cluster here, and then it will specify the organization. So it might be a bit different for you guys who are starting up, that you might also need to create an organization before you go ahead to create projects, also to build clusters. So here you select your preferred language. So I go with JavaScript. You see the name, the project name is Bootcamp Node, and then I'll click continue. So from here, we are going to utilize the free cluster, because at the moment we are learning, we can't afford to go for the other ones. But later on, you can read about how you can upgrade to a cluster that you can pay if you're working for a client. So I'll go here and then click on create a cluster. So we are going to note something. It is always advisable that you go with AWS. It is always free. It gives you that free cluster that we are going to work with. But also here you see that the cluster type, it is 512 MB storage. That is the maximum they give, and then maybe you can go to additional settings to set up backups, but we don't need one. But here where there is the cluster name, you can decide to name your cluster or not. It is not a must, but it is always advisable. You don't want to maintain the cluster 0, so maybe I will say like bootcamp. Okay, bootcamp. But also we are going to maintain as we move along. You will see that we shall need the database name, and also a particular password that we are going to set later. So here I have bootcamp, and up there we had back then we had like bootcamp node, and then I go and create a cluster. So this will take some time. I hope you guys can be a bit patient. As you can see, it might take about 3 to 4 minutes just to build. And then from there, we shall be good to go. We shall just set up our password, and we shall start using the application. So I think that will be it only. So okay, so as you see, we are deploying your changes. So we are deploying my changes to create a cluster. As we wait for that, okay, I believe as we okay, so let me separate the concerns. I wanted to go to Heroku, but there is some separation of concern. Let's first finish this, and then we shall go to the other one. Okay, so creating a plan, and then doing some provisioning. Sorry guys, I have some flu and cough. So it is about to finish. So it is about to finish. Let us be a little bit patient, and then everything will be set. Okay, so yeah, it has set up 303 servers complete. So we are almost there, guys. Okay, okay. This is taking longer than expected. Okay, wait. Okay. I'm a bit impatient, like impatient. Yeah. Okay, I think now it's done. Good. Okay, now it's done. So we are going to click on the connect to try to connect to the cluster that we've just created. And then you see it is saying you can't connect yet. Set up your firewall access and user security permission below. So yeah, one thing that you are going to note. So it is saying here on the add connection IP address, it is saying add your current IP address. So when you say add your current IP address, it will like spoof your IP address for your own machine, and then it will store it in a MongoDB will store it, the Atlas will store it, and then the challenge there is you won't be able to access your application anywhere. It will be only on your machine. So if you are building this application for multiple users, then that would not be the best option. So that would mean that every user would every user will send you their IP address. You add it, you whitelist this so that they can access your application. Or even if you say add a different IP address, that would be the same case. But you just need to say allow access from anywhere, and then instead of adding your IP address, it will add the 0.0.0.0. So this is like a default that makes it available to anyone across the globe who has like your your URL, then they can be able to access your application. So you need to click on that and say add IP address. So it makes it available for everyone to access your application. And here, then you add a user and also the password. So maybe for this, I will say like bootcamp. I continue to be bit consistent. Bootcamp 1, and then I also give it a password. So I know you guys can decide on any password, but for me, I'm going to give it a password, which I have already even written down. Maybe I give it 2020, and then with a boot, small b, boot, b double o t, and I'll go with that like 2020 b double o t, and then I say create a database user. So I create that database user, will be able to access the application, and then say choose a connection method. So what we are going to see here, that is connect with the Mongo shell. There is somewhere where you can install a Mongo shell. Some of you have interacted with it, and then you can use the Mongo shell to connect to this particular instance of your database that you've created. Also, you can use the connect your application or the Mongo campus. People have been using the MongoDB campus, but for this case, we are connecting to our application. So we shall say connect your application, and then it will give us a link that we are going to use. So we are going to use this link, and then we are going to take this link that we are going to work with. So I'm going to just paste it here in I'm going to just paste it here in my VS code, somewhere here in my environment variables. So I'm going to come and say on the next line here, I'm going to put it here, and we are going to come back to it. So when I go back here, I've successfully copied this, and then I'll just close it. So, but remember, it says replace password with a password for bootcamp 1 user, and replace DB with the name of the database that your connection will use by default. Okay. So, and our database for this case is the bootcamp. So we shall pick that as well and take it back to our application. So I'm going to set this connection to like connection string, and okay, I'll set it to that, and then I'll just set this to connection string 2, because that is mine that if I'm going to disable it. Then I'll come to the password and I'll supply my password here. So the password you guys have created is the password that you supply. And then I'll come to the database and I'll just put, okay, that is bootcamp. So I will save this, and I believe you guys have gone through what I'm saying. So my application, I'm going to stop it and then try to restart it if it is successful. Remember, from my index.js, I'm connecting. The connection is process.env.connection string. So from here, I've just switched the connection to our new connection that we've just created. So if everything is right here with the password and the DB, then when I run this node, it will show me connected successfully. But for this case, it will be connected to the one we've just created now. So I'm going to run nodemon and then wait to see if I have a successful connection to my database in the Atlas, MongoDB Atlas. So I'm going to wait and see. Now it has successfully connected. So we are going to be able to see that data. Let us go again and test this data, and we are going to be able to see this data when I go back to our DB that we've just created and I do a refresh there. Don't mind about this connection too. It is the one I was using to set up this application initially. So I'm going to create a new request here, and then I'm going to wait for this to see that maybe I'll say, I'll just call it bootcamp, and then the URL is http local, oh, am I writing the right thing? Okay, localhost, and then 3000. So what you are going to notice, I'm going to do a get request to it. Remember, it is a new database we've just created, so I don't expect to get any data. Maybe I'm going to get an empty array here. So as you can see from here, I have an empty array. So it means we are working with the actual DB we've just created. And then I'm going to send my first data there. So I'm going to do a post request, and then within the header, I do like content type, and then I'll do application slash JSON here, and then I'm going to post some data there. So I'm going to give the body, I'm going to give the title, which will be maybe first successful post, and then the description will be, let me say, the description will be, oh, succeeded, maybe, how do I write succeeded? Okay, let me say successful. Successful, okay, is it like that? Okay, so you keep that, and then I do a post. So I'm posting data there. Let us see. Okay, so we've managed to post data there, and I believe the rest will also work. So I think that's it. And then now that everything is done, let us go to Heroku and try to configure this. So I'm going to switch back to my, okay, I promised you guys that we shall be able to see our data. So I'm going to do a simple refresh here before we go to Heroku, so that we confirm that indeed we posted the data to our cluster. Okay, as we wait for that, a separation of concern to work. So we expect to see our data. Okay, did it bring the data? Did we post the data really? Okay, let me just go back to my application and I check whether this data was posted to Bootcamp. So let us check it out whether this data was posted. HTTP localhost 30,000, and then maybe it was bootcamp. Okay, let me do a get now and I see whether I get that data back. So I have that data being returned, and I come back here. I should be able to look at this and see that that data actually is there. Okay. Okay. Let's add one more and see. It's content type. Okay, application slash JSON. There. Okay, let us add one more. Let's see, we are posting a body. See whether we can see our data, because there is no way we can go without second one, and then we give a description. Okay, we say niceness maybe, and we send. Okay, it has been posted, so I just need to come here. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to refresh the cluster. This is something I need to do. See how my data has been posted. Okay.
Guys,
Okay, let me do a get request now. So for some reason, it is failing to show me my data. For some reason, okay, now it is. I think it was something to do with maybe the loading. Now I think is now set to show the data because this button was inactive initially. So, but we expect to find that data here. So it is loading, as you can see from the top. So let us wait. I didn't know that it could take some bit of a time, but then it happened. So as you can see, we have our data. The first one was first successful post, and the other one is niceness. Okay. Okay, so we are going to continue from there. I'm going to do a second version because I've run out of battery, and yeah, so I'm going to come back with a Heroku bit. Data wevaako ng'econverting kaswa biddamu bibadde bingi.
kakuyambye muno kavuddeko omaliriza.
Anti naakumaliriza tetunaba kukola ki kati ne mayifaayo eno gasiya bulooli. wait. Video ngenkoze bubi.